it's Tiffany's Content, and boy, do we have a series of snowstorms to talk about. Let's get right down into it. Right now, we're still tracking that impact that is bringing Alaska some heavy snowfall. Then you got, the southwest that is brewing up those storms right there in the four corners. Let's get into the current watches and we'll show you what's going on the East Coast. Right now on the West Coast and going into the Central Plains is definitely where all the action is at. The warnings, winter activity, winter storms, wind, fog. All the activity is over there, and it's sprucing up some heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, lightning, and snow. So you can see on the hazards map, look at all that hazards in the, Alaska. Then you got some coming right into the, United States from that West Coast. Then you got the Southwest brewing up and the Gulf Coast that is leading up into the East Coast. And then don't forget, the Midwest, all that, snow coming down from Canada. Let's look at that jet stream, and boy, is it moving. So this is where, you're going to see all the dips at. And where those dips are is where that heavy snow is falling and dipping down into it. So you see that first dip by California, second dip over there by the Four Corners, and then that huge open space is the Central Plains, where all that activity is just going to, start flourishing until it meets up with that other dip coming out of the Midwest, going up into the East Coast. So let's take a look at the, overall temperatures for today. And it's pretty cold out there to bruce up, those storms. In fact, we have some ice advisories out here as well. And it's, definitely setting up shop for the big storms that are coming. So you're going to see all that snowfall on the West Coast, where I was telling you that Four Corners, and the Midwest, and of course the East Coast. So every, area is setting up shop for that, big snowstorm. So it's just, a matter of waiting for these puzzle pieces to come together. This is the East Coast. You're going to see some stationary front, but also that cold front moving right on in and definitely bringing in some precipitation and the snow right, with it. So it's going to be a lot of mixed precipitation on that, West Coast, a lot of low pressure over there with the high pressure, as well as those snow storms, and winter activity. It's definitely happening over there. And then on the East Coast, you're going to have other cold fronts that's trying to move out into the Atlantic, but the Atlantic is bringing, trying to bring rain in. So right there, you're going to have snow and rain, another mixture full. And then of course that Gulf have that low pressure over there and definitely trying to move in. So taking a look at that, precipitation that's out there on the East Coast, look at that amount of snow is definitely coming in from, out of Canada and definitely the Midwest, and trying to interact with that precipitation in the Atlantic. So let's take a look at the map for today, where all the snow and rain is, and definitely you can see all the mist precipitation there as well too. A lot of lightning and thunderstorms, even some ice activity. So heavy rain and thunderstorms also are in effect for today for a lot of watches, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But this is what we have, and this is going into, Friday. So this is what we'll see Friday, and you see that snow moving on into the Central Plains and all that rain and all that, heavy activity in the Gulf, definitely sprucing up some thunderstorms, lightning, flash floods, but it's all, filling in and trying to come together. Even in the Midwest and the upper East Coast, you're going to see some snow for Friday. Saturday is when you're going to see a lot more coming in, definitely out of that, upper West Coast. Definitely, mixed precipitation, heavy snowfall over there with that huge impact coming out of Alaska. Then you got the huge impact coming out of Canada, bringing it right on into the Midwest. And of course, that Gulf bringing it on to the East Coast. So this is going to be the snowfall that we have for, for today, going into the next, couple of hours, 24 hours. And you're going to see 2 to 4 inches. That's a lot of snow starting off, and it has not even begun yet. Once it meets up with that Gulf system, it's going to whoosh its way across the Central Plains and up the East Coast. So this will be, going into tomorrow. You're going to see more of that snow coming up out of Canada because of that, cold air. And definitely, Alaska, bringing in some cold air. Look at the Midwest, bringing in all that snow from, Canada as well as the East Coast. And taking a look at today's precipitation, you're going to see just where all that rain is, that heavy rain is. And this is just the amount that we'll receive for today. So expect some rain over there in Texas for sure. And especially in the Gulf Coast, definitely in the Four Corners where that mixed precipitation is, and the West Coast. Okay, this is for the next, so Friday, going into Friday, look at all of this rain for, just the starting from Friday into the next few days. That's a lot of precipitation, and it can fall, starting tomorrow all until Monday. So this is what I'm saying. All that coming out of, Washington and as well. Look at the Gulf and look at that East Coast. And it is definitely battering that central as well. Like I told you, the new year brings new rain. So everybody's going to get a piece of it that first, week of the new year. I'm telling you, it's happening right now. Let's take a look at the, hazards out there. It's a 10% chance of severe thunderstorms and lightning right over there in Texas coming, definitely right out of, the four corners. But look at that. It's definitely, coming out of New Mexico and Arizona. But look at it. It's spreading right into Texas and bringing up that Gulf system, sprucing it up for the next day. And this is day 2. And you're going to see where all that severe, thunderstorms and, lightning activity is happening, even flash flood warnings. And these are serious warnings that they do put out. That's why the maps are here. You're going to see it up in the upper West Coast as well. But look at that. Florida is definitely drenched day 3. This is where the severe 25% chance, severe weather outlook legend, and take a look at that. Oh, the Gulf Coast again going into the, the next day as well. And that'll be taking it over to Florida. So make sure you're watching even for tornadoes. When you see stuff like this, let's take a look at the action now. Bringing it all together for the next few days, and look at all that snow coming out the West Coast, the Midwest, upper Midwest, and all that rain is at the South, and it's all meet together and just going to cause those huge, snowstorms in the Central Plains going into the East Coast. Let's take a look at the wind, and this is at the 700 millibars, and just look at all that wind activity. And this is just going into the weekend. This is Friday right here. It's going into Saturday and Sunday. So it's a lot of wind, vorticity, definitely some speed in there. I just slowed it up. Look at the West Coast. It's going to be 3 rounds of this system. Now let's take a look at the GFS, and you're going to see it. That's round 1, bringing snow over there on the East Coast. It's definitely coming out the West and the Midwest, and then you're going to see round 2, definitely bringing in that Gulf system and sprucing up a lot of winter storm activity, even in the Midwest, through the East Coast, right up on the West Coast. So we got a lot of storms that we are watching, and I'm going to make sure that you are staying updated, okay? Because you can be traveling, it can impact your area. And in fact, the United States is on alert for this weekend going into Monday and Tuesday with a little bit of rain and snow here and there. So make sure you're staying tuned. It's Tiffany's Content. Like, share, subscribe.